Welcome back. It's the Hitchman podcast coming from you live from New York City. So Jamie made it past last episode to then get brought back because I just actually wanted to hear about the homework I gave her. That was actually the only reason that she's back here is because we needed to follow up on what happened. But today we're going to be talking a lot about, I like to break it down in the beginning of the episode just to give you guys, we're talking about dating in your league, but also dating for love. Sometimes I think we date for looks and we don't go on first dates because it's oh, this person doesn't look like this or this person isn't like that or this person isn't my type physically. So we're really going to break that down today about talking about just going on a date and thinking about it more I'm excited to meet this person for who they are and, their soul, not for if they have the most beautiful person or if they're a model or, I am a model.
Not we knew anybody who's a model.
Yes, 100%. Okay, so right off the bat, I do want to ask though your homework. I want to find out what happened. I know you right after we shot, we did message.
Okay, yeah. So for anybody who didn't hear the last episode, we were talking about shooting your shot, and we were talking about first dates.
First dates,
and I said I had this really great first date, and then we didn't really text afterward, or we texted afterward, but he didn't
plan a second date.
He didn't plan a second date, so I was kind of I think he's not into it.
So you reached back out.
So Jason asked me and was you should shoot your shot.
And you did, and you were here with me.
Yeah,
and you did
so
it.
I did.
And he texted you back, so that was nice.
So I texted him, he texted me back, and it was a little back and forth. But it was I was directly asking him hey, do you want to hang out?
Let's have a second date.
And he never replied.
Well, he did reply.
But then no, he didn't reply. So my last text where I was literally so, haha, what do you think? I didn't say haha, but I was so what do you think about going on a second date?
Okay, so you know what the best thing about this is? What we're going to take the positives because we talk about the Hitchman. It's a lot of positives. So you know what? We shot our shot. We didn't hear what we wanted to hear, but you know what happens? No, but it's okay. It's okay if you are upset about it. But now what we get to do, you know what? We get to move on.
I'm really not.
We get to move on. And I think actually what I just and we talk about this a lot, we got our answer and now we can close that door. And now let's put ourselves back out there. You know what I mean? That energy that you put yourself out there that you asked that you went on that date.
I'm glad I did in the sense of, for me, it was two things. It's not that scary to shoot your shot. And I also realized that my intuition was right.
Okay, that's okay though. Okay.
Where I was oh no, okay. You know how sometimes in this dating game where you get so many conflicting opinions and it's sometimes you don't trust yourself. You don't even trust your own gut. And for a lot of people, maybe you shouldn't. If your dating life is not great, maybe you shouldn't. And maybe that's why you should listen to the podcast.
Exactly.
But I was okay.
Your intuition was a little. He did respond though, so
he was very kind.
And if you're watching this right now, I feel
he probably will not be watching this.
It's okay. If he is, I hope that. Yeah. I think so. To close it all up, shoot your shot. You get your answer, and now you know what happens. We move on to the next. We are still going.
Thank you. Next.
It's what do we do? Do we just give up and say, okay, I'm just never going on another date. I'm never going to send a shoot your shot message. I'm just going to give up, or we just move on to the next one.
Okay. Do you want to hear just to actually close this up? Do you know what my shoot my shot
go-to is? What is it?
So it's a little cringy.
Okay.
As are most things that I do.
You love a dad joke. You love a dad joke. So continue.
I love a dad
Can't
joke.
Wait. Yep.
So I'll send a guy on Instagram who's totally out of my league.
Can't wait to talk about this.
So this is a good intro. Totally out of my league. And I will a famous person.
Oh, I love that.
And they will respond, which is funny. I will just send them my phone number.
Wait, that is amazing.
Slide into their DMs and just put my phone number in. And there are many celebs that have responded to me, not
with their phone number back,
but they think it's funny. They appreciate the joke.
Yeah, so I think I like that. I feel I like a little humor.
No, and I've gone on a couple of dates with guys randomly shooting my shot like that. I also did that activity when I was probably drunk. I was probably drunk.
Okay.
Or I probably was.
There was some help. There was some tequila in your system.
Not tequila. Not drunk, but, you know, feeling good.
Yeah, no, we like,
right? And then
I like a feel good moment.
A little
when you're
liquid
like a little
courage.
swaggy, a little.
And I just thought, like, how funny would it be if I slid into like Brad Pitt's DMs and just so confidently was like, here's my number.
Because I do have a friend right now that has been messaging, because I kind of live in the same circle as some celebrities. And I have some friends that are celebrities. And so, like, no, I know I'm not. But anyways, let me just finish this story.
Okay.
She loves to make fun. She's like my sister. She always loves to make fun of me.
Well, this is the thing about this podcast. You're like the model guy, and then I'm like real life.
You're like,
like
reality?
Reality check.
No,
So
I mean, but I always
we
come from
need
it from like a soul, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is all
you are
something.
a very good person.
Yeah, I'm like a big soul guy.
I wouldn't be here if you
you're
were.
Right, you're right. Touche.
Anyway,
but I have a friend that like she keeps like trying. She was like, will you connect us? Will you do this? Will you do that? And I'm like,
with a celebrity?
Yes. And like, I just feel like it just feels a little weird to me to be like, hey, so like this person you never met is like.
Do you think it would be a good connection?
No.
Then no.
Yeah, that's a no.
But see, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do that if they were a celebrity or not a celebrity.
You would just like send it in the message. You're like, just shoot your shot.
Right. But like, if I had a celebrity friend, if I had a friend who was like bugging me about whether they were a celebrity friend or a non-celebrity friend, and I was like, oh, this is not a good match, like, I'm probably not going to do the intro
that's what I mean.
Anyway,
I like that you said that, because it's going to segue us into this next topic of like, at the Hitchman, we really work and we talk about like, I'm here to match people with true love. Like, true love is why my grandparents were married for 71 years. Like, why my parents have been married, why like these long-term relationships last. It's that, of course, that physical attraction has to be there, but like long-term relationships are built off like really true love, not looks. And that's going to kind of segue us into this next way about talking about like dating in your league or dating for love, rather than dating like to date a model or date someone that's really hot, or when we're on these dating apps, or if I'm sending photos to my clients and they're saying no, when it's like, I'm sorry, but these people are 10 times hotter than you are, and they're really good people, and you're saying no to them. And then I will be like, okay, then send me some photos, like, you know, people that are your type. And then you're sending me like TikTok models and Instagram models and celebrities. And I'm like, how do you act like, and it also goes in what I find.
Okay, wait. So let me back you up there. So you're saying a client, male or female, male or female, will say they'll just turn down people because they don't think they're hot enough.
Yes, exactly. It's so sad to me.
But would you like objectively say that they're good looking people, or, you know, like what?
I think that they're both. Oh no. So the people that I'm sending them, I think, because, you know, we all have a type, and I'm so sure. I'm like, I get that. I like that you have to have some idea. You can't just like throw a spaghetti at the wall. Yeah. Just say like, oh, I'm just out here for everything. That's not realistic. You have to have somewhat of parameters. But if you're sending me only models, only these people that are like 6-pack abs and perfect bodies, and it's like, what I found is that even my friends, even, you know, clients, people that I work with or just give advice to, that people that have not been in long-term relationships will always send me the most beautiful people as the people. Oh, this is my type. Okay, well, I love to, and my rebuttal will be like, well, when they wake up in the morning and they get out of bed, just like you will, and our hair is like sticking in every different direction, and they do not look like that Instagram or that TikTok you just sent me. So it's like, is that really what like you're really sold on, or is it maybe I want someone that also has a great personality, that like is going to take care of me, that's going to cook me breakfast, or that's going to, you know, take me out to eat, or that's going to give me a back massage when I have a sore back, or going to take care of me like when I have a zit on my face or something that's not like perfect. And I
need someone to take care of me when I have a zit on my face.
Yeah, like these are all real things, and this is what real life is, and like relationships are very raw, and, you know, going on these first dates, these second dates, these third dates, you have to think about that person like other than just the way they look, because everyday life is not perfect. That's not what Instagram, it's not what the dating app photos show. It really is like a soul to soul connection. And it's not always perfect. There's lots of times that it's hard and it's a constant battle. But really, when you wake up next to that person and they're gonna, you know that, oh my God, this person's gonna take care of me today. This person's got my back. This person is really here because they love me. There is no better feeling. And I think I'm having a hard time because as social media, as all these, you know, everything is photoshopped and everything is perfect. And
Right.
it's like, it's making it really hard for people to actually live in real life and be like, oh, if I wake up every day and I look at Instagram or look at TikTok, a lot of times it's very perfect photos.
Right.
It's not, especially the people that haven't been in relationships or they haven't been dating. They don't know what real life really feels like with another person. And it's like, then I'm sending you this and they're like, oh, it's a pass and I'm not going on that date. It's, for me, it's, you're going to kind of 30 turns into 35 and 35 turns into 40 and 40 turns into 45 really quickly if you're not dating for love or dating for other things rather than just looks.
So when we say, I guess our definition for dating in your league for the purpose of this conversation, we're talking about looks.
Yeah, looks and full package. I think that's,
and you and I've talked about this a lot, and I think this is a great place to start is, what do you bring to the table?
100%.
That's something you always say. And I think that also starts with self-awareness, right? What do I bring to the table? Because I need to be looking for someone who's going to match that, right? And to me, that's what like dating in your league looks like. Or you can have, you know, you're good in certain area or you excel in certain areas that they don't excel in, or vice versa. That's okay, but it's just got to make, there's something that's got to make sense. Of you.
And I think that's, I mean,
okay, so let's talk about what that actually looks like, though. So let's talk.
Ask the question.
I'm gonna ask the question. What do you, Jason, bring to the table in a relationship?
I'm a caretaker. I like that has been something that I feel like I was raised with that energy. My grandmother, my mother are huge caretakers, and I think that was something that I've always felt in me. And I think that is like kind of the funny thing that you get when you sit down across the table from me, who is a model, and I'm 6'2", and I work out a ton, and I'm like super into health and fitness, and you would think like I'm the flower that wants to be taken care of and spoiled, but really what I love to do is take care of people. And I love to, if it's little things like, you know, making someone breakfast or thinking about them and grabbing something at the grocery store or giving them a back rub, or those things that makes me really happy. And I have a story to tell because my grandmother, you know, when I was 5 years old, I used to go to the nursing homes and spend a lot of time with like families or, you know, a lot of people that didn't have anyone visiting them or older people. And so my grandma told me the story that there was the first time she brought them, she was really scared because she was like, I didn't know how you were going to react. I didn't know how like walking into a space with people that are sick, into a hospital and or a nursing home. And she said, I just like ran in there and just started like caring for everyone and dancing and talking to people. And she was like, that's when I knew I made the right decision. And I now feel like that in, you know, later part of my life, that those things that she did or seeing my grandparents constantly caring for each other was like, oh, that makes a really great partner. And I want to be a caretaker.
I think you are a caretaker.
Yeah, I like
through and through.
Yeah. What about yourself? What do you
No,
think
we're not done with you yet. Okay, so you're a caretaker.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the topic of the conversation. What does it mean to date in your league?
That's a really great question.
As a model.
That is a really great question to ask me because like all of my exes would tell you, they are all so different. So like,
yes,
I think, but what they are is supportive, confident, outgoing. Because but people don't really like, I'm very outgoing to the people that I love and I know. And I have this big thing of controlling my energy of like who I'm giving it to. And if I don't feel like I know you, or I just close down a little bit. And so a lot of, you know, I feel like the people I always have dated have had these big personalities, have been more outgoing than I have. But then once I get to know, because then when they walk into a space, they kind of are okay being more of the, wild and crazy ones, where that would usually, like, people would think that's what I would bring. But really, it takes me a little bit of time
Yes.
to, like, open up and get
Yeah.
to know someone, because I've had, crazy experiences in the modeling world when I came from playing soccer to moving here to the city. And I think people tried to kind of use and abuse me when I first came here to the city. And we've all heard these stories of, photographers and, big CEOs. And that was something that I think when I learned that I really needed to protect myself.
Yeah.
If I didn't want to go down this steep road, I needed to kind of close up a little bit. And I think now I've found that those experiences I had in my early 20s here in New York City in the modeling industry really have now also transformed into my dating life. And it's been a space that I've needed partners that kind of are really willing to kind of take on that role of more of the social butterflies, leading a conversation at a dinner table until I get comfortable to start sharing.
I like that. That's very self-aware.
Yeah, I feel like that is playing soccer and, like, constantly being criticized growing up by my mother, I love you, but she was very critical. And my coaches were very critical on me. It, like, helped. I'm very self-aware now, which is
okay. That's
it's helpful in my life, I think.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Do you want to share yours now?
Okay, what do I bring to the table?
Yeah.
I think I'm very I hate to it's so awkward thing. Like, I am
Yeah, but
So
I'm going to
great.
break really
But-
fast, though.
Yeah.
These are the things you have to do on a first or second date. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be confident in being like, this is who I am.
Sure.
This is a coaching lesson right now I have to
Sure.
give to you
Let's
as your
hear it.
friend and on
Let's hear
camera,
it.
and often I do this all the time. You have to be comfortable in stating what you're good at. You have
Oh.
to be able to be like, oh, this is what I'm
Okay.
really great at.
Fair.
These are things that I'm not great at, and I need help in these moments. Because on a first date, on a second date, it's like you want to feel like that person is comfortable in their skin. Don't be
Sure.
a know-it-all. Don't be a I know everything, like you talked about last episode. You're not teaching everyone, but be confident in being like, I'm Jamie, and this is what I'm really good at.
I will, in the words of Love Island, I will rate myself.
Okay, I like that.
I know I'm really intelligent.
That's very true.
And I think I'm fun.
Yeah, you're fun.
Funny to very few people, but you know what? I crack myself up, and that's fun.
That's true.
And I care about, I'm a caretaker too. And I love really deeply. Like when people,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
When I let people in, I really, really I love taking care of people. I love helping people.
That's
I'm
really beautiful.
a very committed partner. Like in a relationship, I'm very and that's
really beautiful.
Person.
We will have a whole episode on like being faithful and love and like really committing in a relationship that I think is very taboo now and is not like open relationships and these sex parties and orgies and although like if you're single, I'm not like totally, but I think these relationships now that are doing that and opening up, like it's become too much for me. And so that'll be a whole other episode about like being like feeling like it's nice when you can be in a relationship and you can feel like that other person is like in it. They're like, I'm committed. I'm to you. And like, I got you.
Yeah. And I always think my feelings around commitment are, we're both growing. We're both, we're not going to be the same people that we are tomorrow and the next day and 5 years from now. And so I think that I like giving people space to be themselves.
I love that.
And so, I think
that's really beautiful.
I think that's kind of like what I bring to the table.
And I think all of those things are very true about you. I think what that last point that you just made is just so beautiful. Like in a relationship, we are always growing. We are always changing. And although I'm a caretaker now and you're all those things, that doesn't mean in 60 years, what happens if God forbid something happens, like the person that we are caretaking for now, like might have to take care of us.
Oh,
but
100%.
what we learn in relationships is from each other. We learn those beautiful things and you communicate in those relationships. Like these are the things that I do for you and I love to do that for you. But also like I sometimes need that too. Sometimes caretakers need to be taken care of. and
Oh,
and
I
like,
do.
you know what I mean? That's like, you know what I mean? It's
I'm
that.
like, I'm a caretaker, but when someone takes care of me, oh my gosh, I
Yeah,
like
because that
feel.
really means something
I
so much
feel
to you.
yeah,
And
and
that's okay. I have a point right now to hit
please
right now. This is
say,
really
go.
hard.
I'm
I gotta hit this
excited.
one. The best thing about that is we all do these things. We caretake, because that's who we feel like we are. So it's so sexy. It is so beautiful for me when my partner does that. Because it's like, oh my God, like that means so much to me and I want to be that person. So if you're also going to do that sometimes or to other people, oh my God, that
So
is
is
like
that like acts of service? I think
100%.
yeah,
Yep.
I think we're both
Yep.
acts of service.
Yep.
Like if somebody does something for me, I'm like,
Like I still believe chivalry is not dead. Doors should be opened. When you do that for somebody else, like a stranger you don't know, especially living here in New York City, because we all know people just like let the door slam in your face and they're just like
Yeah.
on the like so busy. When I see someone take a moment here and open the door and let someone else go through, guy, girl, guy to guy, whoever it is, girl to guy, sometimes that happens. It's so I'm like, I will say to them, that was amazing.
no, me too. Okay, so I have a quick story about this. I remember this is how much acts of service means so much to me. I remember when I was in law school, this guy that I was seeing was at my house and I like had to go run and do an errand or something like that. And I had just moved to this new apartment and I had a bunch of necklaces that were all just intertwined from being moving.
Yeah.
They're moving. And I had this like necklace stand. And earlier I was showing him something and I was like, oh yeah. And I have all these necklaces I've got to like unknot and everything like that. And I'm looking at this like, oh, this can take me forever.
Tell me he untangled
and so
them
I
for
was
you.
gone for like 3 or 4 hours and I came back and they were all like perfectly lined up on this necklace stand. And I still think about it today.
Wait, that's amazing.
That was probably like, I mean, 15 years ago. I know, right? Like it was just so, and he didn't say anything about it. Like I had to go, I like found it. And
that
I
also
was
is
like,
even better when you do those acts of service and you don't request like, oh, I just did that. It's like, because the people will really notice that. Like, you know what I mean? I think, and then it also means that you did that for me just because you wanted to, not because you wanted a reward, not because that was like I love to wake up every morning and I make breakfast. Like that is my thing. I make the whole house. Like if I can make everyone like something, I love to wake up the day like that. Like I do that because I love to do that. I don't do it because I like need you to say thank you.
Totally.
Thank yous are of course always nice, but I do that for no reward other than like to make everyone else like start the day with some positivity, have some eggs, have some whatever you want. And I think that on that side of it, it's like do things and bring to the table what you bring to the table because you want to do that. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And I think that's,
I agree.
It's not because someone else wants you to do it. You have to be yourself. We're always like, I have to preach. You got to be yourself. You know, you have to bring to the table who you are because people will feel it. Like on a first date, on a second date, on a third date, if you're acting, if you're trying to put on a show, if you're trying to pretend like you're these things that this guy wants to hear or this girl wants to hear or whoever wants to hear it, they will read right through it. Like it's
amen.
And that's the moment right there too of like, I always like to get feedback from dates. I always like to hear about like what you felt because sometimes we think we walked out of and like, oh my God, I killed that date. I was so great. And then you were like, the other person did not feel that.
Totally.
And like that feedback is okay. You know what I mean? And
it is. And then but it's kind of like, it's all about that, I'm being self-aware. Okay. One thing I didn't say though.
Okay.
So we were talking about like, what do you bring to the table? Part of this, like dating in your league, I think also is being self-aware of, I'm going to say it, what you look like.
Yeah. No,
okay.
Yeah.
Now, I will preface that before I get canceled.
Before this conversation.
Before I get canceled, which I probably get canceled every week for something dumb that I say. But
sure.
Thank you, Christina Aguilera. We are all beautiful in every single way.
Yes.
Okay,
that's a good way to bring it there.
We get it.
Yeah.
Right? And I am all about that. However, I am also, I think I'm beautiful. I'm just going to say that. I really do. I think I'm very beautiful.
You are.
Am I America's Next Top Model? No. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But I know, but does that make me feel bad? Not at all. I just know who I am.
Yeah.
One really funny thing that happened, I moved to New York in 2017, I think it was. And one I came back to Buffalo. I was back in town for work or whatnot, and I saw a guy that I worked with, and I was coming when I moved to New York. I lost a little bit of weight, and I just was feeling really good about myself, in every way, in every aspect, not just physically, just job was going well, you feel good, you're gonna look good to people.
Amen.
And so this guy, he says to me, I'm in Buffalo, and he says to me, he goes, "Oh my God, Jamie, you're a Buffalo 10."
Oh, I loved that. Oh yeah, I know.
Now, what's funny about it is he had to specify a Buffalo 10, and I was kind of like, yeah. Now you translate that to New York, that's probably like a New York 5.5. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like that's not bad. And maybe this is
it's
the
actually
younger
amazing.
generation, like probably judges themselves a little bit more, but like, I think I'm really pretty. I mean, if you think about, 1 to 10, if we're talking about numbers, and by the way,
It's
the
always
whole
different.
premise of this
The 1 to 10
conversation
is
is
always
like
hard,
crazy,
though.
right? Yeah, no. I
Yeah.
just want to acknowledge this is insane. However, I'm communicating it in the only way that I
love it, though.
I know how to,
Yeah, I
right?
love it.
Like
Yeah,
people are
raw.
would think like, oh my gosh, this is I can't believe she's going down this road
Yeah.
rating people.
But it's real.
But I'm also self-aware. Like I'm also, and I'm not saying this in like, oh, I'm dogging myself.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting next to a man who is a literal model, right? And could I date a literal model? Absolutely. I'm not saying I couldn't. It's just that I know that people who look a certain way or, are 10s are getting approached by everyone in the world. And let's be honest, if they want somebody who is very attractive and hits all of their other, all of their other requirements, they're probably going to meet someone like that. Now, I'll use it and I'll contradict it with something or compare it to somebody. I really need someone intelligent.
Yeah.
And shockingly, that actually is a very discriminating factor.
Yeah.
Now, that might insult some people, right?
But it's real.
In a very similar way. But I have, I've dated guys and it's just and not a good intellectual match. And so it can be a physical match or there's more than just looks.
Of course.
Looks can be discriminating, but there's other aspects that can be very discriminating as well because they're a high priority for you. For somebody who's really, really intelligent, it's going to be really hard to date a dumb girl.
Of course.
Or a dumb guy, right? Or if your priorities are, I just want a pretty girl to look at, that's not me. That's not me.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I'm confident in that. I'm the girl. I say this all the time. I am the type of girl that you marry.
Yeah, you are. You
And
definitely are.
but not everybody is looking for that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But
And also sometimes people don't give people the chance. And this is what we talk about. Like, let's talk about first dates. That was beautiful what you just said. So thank you for sharing that. And I totally agree with that side of it. It's like you have to know who you are and what you bring to the table and like be realistic about it. And but it's also that side of things where when we look at a first photo, you also have to think a little deeper than like, oh, that person's hot or not.
for sure. Like
You know what I
I
mean?
can look at
This is a little help.
pictures.
This is a little bit of help with like the dating world and like the
Yes.
swiping of Hinge or swiping of all these things. Look at the words, look at the sentences that they write in like Hinge, the little bios. Those things for me, if I was on a dating app, would be like the first thing that I would probably run to after, because I was like, I want to see the way they communicate. I want to see their caption. I want to see these little things about this profile that aren't just like perfect.
Totally. And I think, and I talked a little bit about this last time, but maybe this is a little bit different for women than men. I think that a lot of times women will say, you know, I want a guy who's really funny. And because if a guy can make me laugh, you know, that can, essentially it's the concept of like, oh, it's a slow burn, right?
Of course.
He may not be the most attractive person in the world, but you fell in love with them as a person. I dare say, I dare say, I don't think guys usually have the same outlook.
I do.
You
but
think
I think,
so?
But I think this is also what I do with other men, which makes me, I think, a little unique. I talk about my feelings. I talk about my emotions.
Right.
I am so in tune with, and I will talk about it with other men, which is
Sure.
which is I think is something that's really weird for some men. And like a lot of times, my buddies or people I work with will be like, I've actually never talked to another man about this, about like what it really means and what it really is to be in a relationship or what we're looking for. It is a lot of times we're just very physical. I think
Sure.
that men are men and men are with women, and like it's very physical from the beginning. Not everyone, but I played the
Not
percentage
everybody.
game.
No, not everybody.
But I love to break it down with these men about like what are the things about that person other than beautiful or hot that like intrigues you? Like what are the things that are really great about also yourself that isn't just physical?
right.
Are you emotionally in tune with yourself? Because men, we have to be more emotionally in tune with ourselves. We have to be able to talk about things, to communicate that, like, if we're feeling sad or we're feeling happy, or if we're, you know, we had this whole, there's a big stigma, I think, on men that we have to be a certain way, and we have to be looking like this and talking like this and acting like this. And for me, I really love, and I was blessed to have a father that like is very emotional, that talks, that gives me hugs, that gives me kisses. Like that was never really an option in a world I didn't live in.
Yes.
And now I have nephews, and it's so funny because like my 15-year-old nephew, I will like, he'll be in the dugout of his baseball, and I like am coming home to watch him play, and I will walk immediately into the dugout and give him the biggest hug and a kiss.
Aww.
And like he's so cool with it, and he's like he's not like shy with it, because it's the generational like thing of
Yes.
bringing down like. But this is what, with men, it's become very physical, you know.
Like they're physical. And I will say,
and also then now when they're looking for someone, when they're going on a date, it's very instantly always by the looks, and not thinking bigger about like, oh, don't worry, I'm about to go on the girl's neck.
I was just
Yeah,
gonna say,
will.
I think girls. I know a lot of women,
Yeah.
especially in New York, especially women who are very accomplished, who are independent. I would consider myself a very independent person as well, but I come across that with like friends of mine where I see the pictures that they're of guys that they're swiping on, and they'll be like, oh, no. And they literally are
Looking
like,
for
oh
a
yeah,
man in finance.
yeah,
6'5",
I mean,
just fine, blue eyes.
like, okay, that is 0.001% of the population.
Yeah.
That's not reality. And I would love to know, could you stand next to that person and people would be like, oh, that's a couple that makes sense?
Yeah.
I mean, and
This is such a great point, and I'm gonna have to steal it from you, because I also totally agree with you. It's like I have found that if someone's not a client is 5'2", a person is 6'2", a friend is 6, you know, that's great. Those things are great qualities, and like I wish I had millions of people I could just do that and send that, and that would be great. But if someone doesn't hit that exact height mark, if it's in like 5'10" to 5'11", I'm like, I'm really looking for 6 foot. I'm like, you're 5'1".
And I'm like, do you want to marry them and live to be 70? Because guess what? He's probably going to lose a few inches by the time he's 70 years old. Because that's what happens when you get older. You get smaller. Like, relax.
And it's just like unrealistic expectation that we really put on other people, that like it has to be like this, or like I'm not even giving you a chance. And like that's the idea too. It's like, it's give someone a chance, go on that date. Like go on that second date if it's a maybe. Like there's a whole thing for me that everything is too perfect. Social media is too perfect. Everyone's thing is, so it's like now if this person doesn't have like a TikTok model or like the abs that I see on like Instagram, I know I put mine out there, so that is another thing. Like, but those things are important, but they are not everything. Like there is so much more to life than that, and there is so much more to bringing to a relationship than just your looks.
I agree.
And as coming from, I'm going to use it again, my grandparents were married for 71 years. Like they both were good looking people. And my grandmother she was very into like her looks and very much. But my grandfather always used to say about, he was like, yeah, she's beautiful, but she's kind.
Right.
Like she is loving.
Agreed.
Like, and those are the things that he always saw in her that really helped them last 71 years. Like that is...
I completely agree. I think after one of my previous relationships, it became a core value for me, and it's something that I look for in other people, and it's really important to me. And I think when I'm evaluating a man as a partner, I'm looking at him and I'm asking, can you do hard things?
Yeah. Because
life is hard. And we can't always pray. I mean, we would love to plan for our lives to be perfect, but things don't always go perfectly. And there's so many things that are outside of our control. Yeah. Can you do hard things?
Yeah.
With me. Like that is the type of partner I want. And
that also makes the sex so much better to me. I'm sorry, like 5 years into a relationship, and then you will do something that is so hot, and I'm like, okay, let's go. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's an act of service, or it's a little thing.
It's
like
something
get off a work call and like kill that work call badass. Like that to me, I'm like, okay, let's go. You know what I mean? Like that is a moment, like 5 years in, 10 years in, 70 years in, that like I think really is what kind of keeps our relationships alive sex wise.
That's an interesting point. Like I think what is going to be the source of the strength in your relationship, even sexually down the road? It's not always going to be looks, right? We used to, I think I told you this. I used to play this game, kind of. I don't know if you would call it that, but with my brothers, because I've got only girl brothers, and I was so curious because when I would point out girls to them and be like, oh, isn't she so pretty? And they would be like, and I'm thinking, are you nuts? That girl is so pretty. And so we used to play this game. I would like pull out like a People magazine or something. And I would ask them, I'd point out a girl and I would ask, is she pretty, beautiful, or hot? And sometimes they would say gorgeous, but pretty, beautiful, hot, gorgeous. And through basically what those words meant to them was a pretty girl was just kind of she could be cute, right? Like maybe she was really trendy looking or just generally like cute. Okay. A beautiful girl was somebody who had a little bit more of a classic, beautiful look to them. And then somebody that was, but may not be like the most fit girl or, whatever, but she would have to be beautiful. A really, really beautiful face. And then there would be a hot girl, really meant physically hot. Like, is her body hot? Yeah. Like
Pamela Anderson.
Could be, right, but you could have a beautiful face or a cute face, but like hot was like there's something sexy, really sexy about you. Yeah. And then gorgeous was just like, you're Blake Lively. Like you're just
gorgeous.
Right?
I just like aged myself really funny because when you just said that, like I instantly said Pamela Anderson. And like Baywatch, Pamela Anderson. Yeah. Like I remember
that's hot, right?
Oh my god, it was so hot.
She's hot.
Yeah,
she's hot.
Yeah. It's so funny that like that was like I just played that game as you were saying that, and that really, I mean, as a man, as like that is really what
totally. And but what I I always am trying to like push my brothers to. I always like, I found that they would like pick out hot girls, or there's nothing wrong with being a hot girl.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
We love hot girls.
But I would challenge them when they would like pick out girls that had like a ton of makeup on, and they're really, you know, there's kind of a sheen to them that's really sparkly. But I would say to them like, okay, what is she going to look like tomorrow morning?
Ooh, I like that. You challenge
Take off
them.
the makeup.
Yeah, you
pull back the
challenge.
hair. Like models, when they go for female models, when they go for a casting in New York, they can't wear they're not wearing makeup, and they have their hair slicked back, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to see what they really look like.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes guys are overlooking girls because they're not seeing something really sparkly, you know, or they're not seeing that really. And there's so many beautiful women out there that I think men are just kind of overlooking.
Yeah.
And
no, I like
or that, you know, they might be one of those guys that are just like, oh no, she's not hot. And I'm like, do you want a one night stand, or do you want a relationship with somebody who's real? And I don't know. I just think it's something to challenge, and it goes both ways. It does go both ways. I'm using my experience with my brothers, but
yeah, no,
girls
I mean,
too.
I think it goes both ways, and it really is something that I feel like we were brought up with.
Yes.
And that's still like, and that's the transition between, for me, like what's reality and what's not reality. And
Right.
like, who is in your league? Who are the people that you are swiping with or meeting at the bar, or what, like that person that when you like are thinking about what your partner looks like, is it perfect? Is it like something that you feel like you see on Instagram?
Yeah.
Or is it actually real to like who you are, what you look like, and also the core things that you value? Are your morals, are like what that is beautiful, that is sexy, that is not just hot, but like has a soul.
Right.
And I think that's the difference that we have to start to create for our own selves when we're putting that, you know, pen to paper about this is what the person that I'm going to be with.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be also about a core value.
Yeah.
Because it's become too much about Instagram, about how many followers or how many abs you have or how perfect your butt is, or, you know, if it's a guy, if he's got big quads or if he's over 6 foot, or it's become so much that way that as you get older, and I think that's something that we're really dealing with now because people have waited later in life. When 30, 40 years ago, people were always getting married in their early 20s. And now we live in a culture where it's okay to be a little older and have babies and or wait to find who you are before you get married, and those all things are great. But what I'm finding is that as these people get older, they were like, oh, wait, I'm 35 now and I'm not married and I don't have a family and I'm not a husband and I'm not a wife, they stress, right? And it's something like, well, okay, but then what happens then? I will say, oh, look at this person. Oh, but they're not 6 foot. And I'm like, you're 38.
What are you doing?
You're 40. Like, we're still stuck.
We're still stuck on
physical things.
Yes.
That is like sick, but he's not 6 foot, or he doesn't have a 6-pack abs.
Oh my God.
Like, you know what I mean? And it's that also on the other side. It's the same thing with girls. Like it's they go that other way.
Yes.
And it's the boobs, it's the ass, it's the this, and it's become too much, that side. But I think to kind of end us here, and I think this is a really great like place to stop, because I feel like we have to really start thinking more deeply about an emotional connection, value thing, a moral thing than just physical looks. And that's dating in your league, right? That dating your league is not just your looks. It's what are the things also in your league of emotional connection and vulnerability and like your goals for the future. That's also your league, right? It's not just looks. It can be not just financial. It's what is the person that is going to be your partner that you're going to spend 10 years with or 20 years with or 30 years with, and who is that person? That's
Right.
really what dating in your own league is. And I think that's what's so beautiful about love, right? is like everyone's league is different, but they all have to be kind of together.
I agree. I think that I've thought this before of what does my husband, who is the man that I'm going to marry? Who is he at 70 years old?
Yeah, no,
right?
Yeah.
Like, is he, men usually, age like fine wine. And, I think they're can be very attractive older men, but how is he going to carry himself? What are his attributes?
How is he going to take care of you?
How is he going to take? And so that's what I'm looking for. I want to invest in my future. And I hope that someone is able to do the same for me. I hope that they're not just looking on the surface, that they are looking for a deeper connection and thinking about what does it look like when you're married for 70 years.
That's so beautiful. Like thank you so much for saying that. Okay, so she's made it to episode 2 or 3. Let's see if she's going to make it back again.
We'll see.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
It's fun.
I love spending time with you. Like, it's one of my favorite things. So this has been really fun to bring you in on this. This is the Hitchman Podcast coming from you live from New York City. Thank you so much for joining us. And goodbye.